son of a bitch.
How did you get started with all this?
I used to think that everybody had the similar experience, but like if I asked you what was your first memory in life, what would it be?
I don't think I know.
My first memory was almost like when you're dreaming and you're falling and you hit the bottom and you wake up.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first memory, but I didn't wake up here. I was inside my mother's womb.
It's a made-up tale. It's a total fabrication.
Now something's moving in front of you, and you're like, oh, that's my friend. But I had a different name for it. I didn't know it was my hand.
It's totally made up. Pure fiction.
Remember being compressed, and you want to panic, but you're flooded with like some serotonin and dopamine to where you feel relaxed. You go right back to sleep. You remember being born. I remember being circumcised. I remember the whole nine. And
this one was invented by a writer.
the proof of it is the 97 patents that I have now.
Frankie, was he shaking?
If I had followed my proper course, I could have saved my mother, because the knowledge that I had, I had the grand unified field equation. I had already put that together and then rebuilt the periodic table, build a new periodic table.
When you say rebuild the periodic table, what do you mean specifically?
Well, the way the periodic table is laid out, the periodic table they have now,
Let's see.
it looks like a box.
Image of it.
It looks like a straight box.
Mm-hmm. All right, here's the periodic table.
You'll see hydrogen sitting all the way over there by itself, but they don't show that hydrogen has the same tone as carbon.
What do you mean by tone?
Same tone, same key of E. Same key of E. 40.5 hertz. The next one would be like 81 hertz. You keep dividing light by 2, and you'll ultimately get back to the audible sound of it, because there was a relationship between light and color, sound and tone, matter and shape.
Mom says when I wear this badge, you're supposed to treat me like a man of the law.
But go back to the wiggly one. This is how I saw it more so, but as a vortex, you'll see there's a relationship between hydrogen, carbon, silicon, cobalt, rhodium. They're all bonded. They all sit as the middle point between two noble gases. But as you reach into the next octave, the carbon octave, and they call that a bisexual tone.
The fuck?
The moment that fluorine is introduced, it will break all bonds violently so it can bond with fluorine. Same thing with beryllium and oxygen. That's why it said, and what they've tried to keep from us, if you want to break water into its component parts of hydrogen and oxygen, all you have to do is introduce beryllium or the sound of beryllium. And oxygen will violently break away from any other thing, even hydrogen, to bond with that beryllium. The reason that arsenic kills us is because our DNA has nitrogen and it has phosphorus in it, because nitrogen unwinds into the next octave right after silicon and becomes phosphorus. Our DNA has both of those in there, but it's going by tone. So the moment arsenic, which sits as a -3 on the next octave, the moment arsenic is introduced, the body thinks that, oh, this is my thing that I need. And it tries to wrap itself around the arsenic, but it causes the DNA to unravel. But nature doesn't allow us to unravel that. But now, with the wave conjugations, we can. So the vortices, those tips, that's the magnetic field. That's where they begin. But it has an equal attractor and an equal amount of repulsion. So if you go to what happens when 8 bubbles me, they gave me the patents to that. I called that the tetrian.
Frankie, was he shaking?
This is
the negative space in between 8 bubbles.
8 bubbles. This is the negative space where 8 bubbles meet, and you can scroll around.
And this is ignored when they're concentrating on straight lines.
Now, these are all of those systems put together This is where 12 bubbles meet, the Aubrians. And then I put 5 of them together and they make these natural starfish. But you can see where 6 bubbles meet as you get to a higher point. On it, those where 6 bubbles are meeting, still fitting perfectly where the 12 bubbles are meeting and where the 4 and where the 8. That's a super symmetrical system. I put 12, if I put 20 of those where 6 bubbles meet, the Antonian, and I was like, okay, let me wait until the patents are granted before I'll talk about it. But then he started attacking, the 1 × 1 = 2.
How did he attack them?
Oh, he was, because I asked him, and he said that Giordano Bruno was looking for that grand unified field equation, and maybe one day somebody is going to do it. And when they do it, it's going to change the world. And I'm like, dude, I've done it. I've got it here. How long it would take the Earth to go from the sun to 93 million miles away. It's 9 trillion. Hold on.
Let's go.
I did all of the little calculations.
These are not little calculations.
Took a bold stand, though, years ago when the governments were trying to poison their citizens. You took a very bold stand that nobody else took. That's what I was like, wow, I appreciate you, because I lost 3-4 jobs because I refused to take it.
Was this story based? Yes.
Before we do that, can you tell me how a planet is formed under this theory? So you have a sun, and how does the sun give birth to these planets?
The same way we defecate and have gas. Like Jupiter's, that red spot on Jupiter, that's spinning on it, that's going to become a moon. It may take a billion or 2 billion years. That will ultimately become a moon off of Jupiter. Where is it? Right at the equator. Where do we discharge at? Right at our equator.